And I have to go in there, stomp all over him, inflict pain, and land that right hand that he says is
an
my only
amazing
weapon.
fighter, but styles make fights, and I think simply the way that our styles match up and what I know I can do to him and the shots that I know I can land on him, I know that
Fight week erupts as Anthony Joshua tears into Jake Paul at MVP face-off. Joshua didn't just stand there, he shredded Paul's confidence, forcing the YouTuber into a corner of fear and hesitation. Every syllable from AJ was a psychological punch, exposing Paul's bravado as hollow and unprepared. The tension was so thick that you could see Paul doubting himself long before the gloves are on.
You have that instinct. You can see it. When you're fighting, you can just see a small glimmer of someone that's just about to start fading. And then you just keep exploiting that, keep exploiting that until some people give up, some people get knocked out. We'll figure out. But as I said, for me, it's not just going in there and being dominating physically. I want to break him down spiritually.
Joshua didn't mince words. He publicly exposed Jake Paul as more than just a body to hit, calling out his very will to fight and aiming to destroy Paul's spirit before the fight even begins. This wasn't the usual hype talk. It was psychological warfare, dragging Paul's confidence into the open and making him look uneasy under pressure. Fans could feel the shift. AJ wasn't just planning to physically dominate him. He wanted to mentally dismantle him first. That's a whole different level of aggression that Paul wasn't ready for.
And, if I can break his soul and I can break his mentality, then I've broken Jake. So this is why it's going to be an interesting fight, because I just don't look at it from a physical standpoint.
Joshua's face-off with Paul turned into a verbal battlefield as Paul threw out destiny-driven bravado, but AJ didn't flinch. He absorbed the chatter like a champion used to intimidation. Paul tried to script fate, claiming knockouts and history books, yet the confidence was more nervous hype than threat. Joshua stood unbothered, his silence and cool glare doing more damage than any fantasy knockout prediction ever could.
Do you think you're gonna knock him out?
I know it, yeah. It's already written.
Where?
In the history books, brother. It's destiny.
In yours, not mine.
No, it is. You'll see. I don't need to go into detail, brother.
That doesn't cross my mind.
It's already written.
It doesn't cross my mind.
I'm certain of it.
It doesn't cross my mind.
Carl Froch's brutal take exposed Jake Paul's lack of real boxing credibility compared to AJ's destructive power. Froch made Joshua's punches sound like stun gun blasts, making Paul look like a YouTuber prankster pretending to be a fighter. In this matchup, Paul's hype won't survive a single hard exchange. He'll be embarrassed, not tested.
It's like a fucking mule. He's a big puncher knocking people out in the gym. Like, I've seen him sparring, and every time he hits somebody, it's like they've had the stun gun.
Eddie Hearn didn't mince words. He predicted an annihilation, not a fight. Saying AJ plans to destroy Paul makes Paul's YouTube boxing act look like a Sunday gin session next to a real heavyweight legend. The hype evaporates when the promoter publicly labels this clash as a one-sided beatdown.
Absolutely smoked on December 19th, and AJ's not going to play around. I see AJ's face in that head-to-head. He ain't messing around. And people say, oh yeah, he'll hold him up. Mate, you have no idea. AJ is going to go out there with the intentions to get him out there as soon as possible in the most destructive fashion. And all this stuff, you know, I think there was a little bit of back and forth.
Duke McKenzie's warning isn't just cautious, it's an implicit roast of Jake Paul's boxing legitimacy. Suggesting Joshua's power could end Paul's career makes Paul look like a YouTube novelty who doesn't belong in a real ring. McKenzie essentially labeled this matchup dangerous because Paul lacks the durability or skill to survive AJ's serious power. That's humiliation from a respected voice in the sport.
If Anthony Joshua goes into this fight with Jake Paul on a serious level and catches Jake Paul with a serious punch, he will do far more damage than that. So, from a health and safety perspective, I hope the fight...
Johnny Nelson didn't sugarcoat the humiliation he painted Jake Paul as prey, saying Joshua should torment Paul like a cat with a mouse. reduces Paul to fear and desperation, not competitor. Nelson's imagery implies that Paul will panic and beg out, making his YouTube bravado look absolutely ridiculous in a real fight build-up scenario.
Got them to panic up there, so then they learn the lesson to think, I ain't doing this shit again. AJ needs to torment him like a cat with a mouse. He needs to torment him. I don't mean a mouse just picking and poking, I mean punching and kicking. He needs to really damage him where he...
Roy Jones Jr. shredded any illusion that Jake Paul's punches threaten Anthony Joshua by saying Paul won't land first and that AJ's knockout is all but guaranteed. He framed Paul as overmatched and outclassed. That's a public boxing legend essentially telling fans to stop pretending Paul is anywhere near AJ's level.
AJ gonna definitely knock him out. Because, I mean, don't get it wrong, Jake's smart, and Jake does have the power if he can catch him first. He knows if he can catch AJ first, he can get AJ out. But he don't catch AJ first. He's like Ngannou couldn't catch him first.
Deontay Wilder's brutal take pulled no punches, and in doing so, publicly humiliated Jake Paul's entire boxing resume. Wilder didn't just question Paul's readiness. He implied this fight isn't even a legitimate sporting contest. It's a scripted circus, pitched for entertainment, not competition. Calling Paul's previous bouts fun and games, compared to a real professional fight with Anthony Joshua, is a slap in the face that echoes around the sport. Paul's YouTube boxing flex suddenly looks like a sideshow act being dragged into real combat. Wilder's skepticism isn't merely commentary. It's a warning that Paul might crumble under actual pressure.
And this is going to be the first time that we see Paul, fighting an active fighter. We seen the Mike Tyson, that was all fun, that was cute, you know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff, but now you're dealing with a real professional, and so we'll see how it ends up like I said, I think it's scripted, but
Derek Chizora's commentary dropped cold water on Jake Paul's fight bravado, suggesting that Paul won't even survive 5 rounds against a serious professional like Anthony Joshua strips away every scrap of hype Paul has built. Chisora basically says Paul needs a quick KO to avoid looking like a shell-shocked novice in front of the world, turning Paul's confidence into a desperate scramble for respect. This isn't coaching, it's a reality check that Paul's dream of hanging with an elite heavyweight might end in utter disaster and embarrassment.
I'm gonna go with you, because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. He has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, people are gonna be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1 round.
Devin Haney's assessment hit like a reality check grenade for Jake Paul's big talk. Haney didn't mince words. He was genuinely shocked Paul agreed to face a true boxing powerhouse instead of ducking, calling Joshua one of the best in the world in the same breath as expressing surprise at Paul's acceptance subtly paints Paul as overconfident and underqualified. This remark didn't just respect Joshua, it cast doubt on Paul's decision-making, implying Paul might have bitten off more than he can chew. In the world of boxing credibility, that's a big slap.
I was surprised that Jake took the fight rather than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is one of the best fighters in the world. He's a solidified champion. But I'm surprised that Jake took the fight and is fighting a guy that's so dangerous like Anthony Joshua. So I got to take my hat off to him. Because we were saying that he's fighting this person past their prime, this person's old and this and whatnot, and now he's fighting.
Johnny Nelson's words cut deep, more than purely hype. His commentary exposed the psychological imbalance between Joshua and Jake Paul by saying the focus should be on AJ's mental strength, hunger, and pro-wisdom. Nelson effectively declared Paul a side attraction, not a real threat. This isn't respect, it's a dismissal of Paul's narrative, suggesting fans should watch Joshua's legacy, not Paul's moment of fantasy. It frames the entire fight as a spectacle for Paul, while positioning AJ as the only one with real stakes, skill, and intent.
Ailing very close to the win, picking Anthony Joshua, because I know Joshua and I know him well, and he's a proud guy, and he will not want to lose any respect from this, and he knows that he's got to get this job done. So expect to see an aggressive Anthony Joshua, which is only bad for Jake Paul.
Moses Itauma's take is respect, but reality check. And in doing so, he unintentionally embarrassed Jake Paul. Itauma praises Paul's journey, credit where it's due, but then makes it absolutely clear Paul isn't on Anthony Joshua's level. Calling Paul decent, yet categorically not heavyweight elite, implicitly frames this fight as a mismatch spectacle, not a real contest. That contrast YouTube fame versus true champion pedigree exposes Paul's hype for what it is. A media-driven narrative, not grounded in boxing merit. When a real boxer acknowledges Paul's effort but tells you he's nowhere near Joshua's caliber, the message is blunt. Paul's journey is admirable, but stepping into the territory of a two-time world champion is like putting training wheels on a Ferrari. It doesn't make him elite. Itauma's commentary doesn't just downplay Paul's chances, it publicly puts Paul in the underdog with no escape route box, giving fans a stark snapshot of the reality behind the face-off smiles.
No, I don't think anybody's expecting anything from Jake Paul. Like, he's fighting an Olympic gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. But this YouTuber, like, do you know what? You got to take your hat off to Jake Paul. He's done amazing. He's done very well. And even me, I don't think he's a bad boxer. You know, I actually think he's a decent boxer, but they're not on the caliber of obviously Anthony Joshua.
Ade Oladipo's prediction is short, sharp, and devastating to Jake Paul's narrative. Picture this: the referee says touch gloves, and before the crowd can even settle, Anthony Joshua has already ended it. That's not just confidence. It's a full narrative annihilation of anything Paul has been hyping. In a moment like this, Paul's dream of competitive rounds, tactical outmaneuvering, or grabbing headlines looks laughably naive. Instead of an 8-round saga, this projection paints the fight like a punctuated statement. 1 minute in, Paul's night is over. For fans and critics alike, that kind of prediction doesn't just say Joshua wins. It suggests Paul's bravado will be undercut in the first minute, making it a historic wake-up call rather than a slugfest. And when experts start forecasting lightning-fast knockouts, Paul's "maybe I win" optimism sounds more like wishful thinking than an actual plan.
Final predictions for the fight?
AJ will start the fight. The referee will say, come to the center of the ring. AJ will walk back. He will go over and knock out Jake Paul in about 45 seconds.
Tony Bellew's assessment is a brutal dose of reality for Jake Paul's delusions. Bellew isn't just questioning Paul's ability. He's flat out dismissing the idea this fight will be competitive once real boxing gloves are laced up. When a former world champ highlights not just the size advantage, but the sheer physical mismatch, he's telling fans Paul will be overwhelmed before he even sets his feet. Bellew pointedly doesn't trust the spectacle until 10-ounce gloves hit, because that's when the real danger shows up. And in that moment, Paul's glamorous YouTuber boxing image dissolves into a heavy hitter versus a weekend walker scenario. Bellew's comment implies Paul might even question his own choice when AJ's shots start landing, turning this fight into not just a mismatch, but a brief spectacle where Paul's bravado meets brutal truth. Fans aren't just expecting a one-sided fight, they're expecting Paul to experience a harsh reality check once that first power punch lands.
Anthony Joshua, who's now 5 inches bigger than you, maybe more, or 4 or 5 inches, and about 100 pounds heavier. You just don't go from there right up to there. I don't believe it. And I won't believe it until the two of them got 10-ounce gloves on in a boxing ring. Because if Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a boxing ring and Jake Paul is in the other corner, this one...
Face-off chaos has turned into one of boxing's most polarizing matchups of 2025. Anthony Joshua is openly threatening to end this fight early and violently, even saying there's zero chance this goes the distance, and implying Jake Paul won't see the final bell. Joshua insists he's here to outbox, outshine, and hurt his opponent, not play games on a Netflix card. Meanwhile, Paul's camp is still selling optimism and upset talk, predicting a mid-fight knockout of Joshua. Ultimately, the world will watch this clash unfold in Miami on December 19, and whether you're Team AJ or Team Paul, comment below. Who wins and how? Drop your prediction now.